So here's the deal. Us runners are told all the time that we need to use our glutes more. We're also told that one of the reasons we can't use our glutes effectively when we're running is because we get too tight through our hip flexors, and we need to do lots of hip flexor stretching work to start feeling a stretch and loosen them out to make it easier to use those big, strong butt muscles on the other side. But there's a problem with that. If you are tight through your hip flexors, a lot of the time, endo stretching is not going to help. It'll feel good in the moment, so you'll get up from a stretch, you feel like, yep, I've had a real positive stretch there, I can feel the benefits, yeah, I'm moving better through my hips, but actually, the reason why you're tight in the first place has not been dealt with. A lot of the time, hip flexor tightness is way more to do with weakness than it is anything else. And yes, spending long periods of the day sat down 5 days a week is going to make a difference. Yes, our kind of more sedentary lifestyles these days do mean that we sit in more of a flex position, just generally more often, making it harder to use our glutes, and we get deconditioned through our hip flexors. But I've started to change the words I use around that. I always used to say, get tight through our hip flexors. Kind of true, but deconditioned actually is the reasoning for that tightness. So we've got to work on strengthening. Strengthening is the key, because when a muscle gets weak and it gets into this kind of protective mode, that protective mode ultimately is the source of that tightness. So how can we start to actually work on hip flexor strength? Well, a couple of simple things we can do. Resistance bands at the ready for this one. We're going to go bands around the feet, just looped around, and from there, what we want to do is start out bringing the knees in towards your chest. Doesn't need to be all the way towards your chest, but close to the 90 degrees here. Okay, from there, I want you to consciously feel that you're locking this one in place. Feel those hip flexors engage. You're trying to actively pull knee to chest. As you then push away with the other side, don't let this guy move. This one stays where it is. You do 10-second holds, keeping your core engaged, lower back flat to the ground. I've no idea if it's nearly 10 seconds. Probably is. And let's bring it back. It's a fairly medium resistance band. Again, try different bands. See what you feel comfortable with. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alternating sides, 10 sets of 10 seconds, which will be obviously 5 to each side. Build that up to the point where you're doing 20, which is 10 times 10-second holds on each side. If you want to be hardcore about it, go from doing alternating to do all of them on one side, then all of them on the other side. That will start to feel a bit of a burn through those hip flexors. You can, of course, then work through a very similar range of motion in standing. So from here, we can come up, we can hold, we can even give ourselves an extra pull up into a bit more hip flexion. And again, we hold 10 seconds. What I don't want to see here is shifting left, shifting right. We're trying to stay absolutely solid. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and relax. You should feel that deep in with those hip flexors. And again, the same game. We're doing 10-second holds, 5 on each side, building to 10 on each side. And if you were doing 10 on each side, or 10 on one, then all 10 on the other, it would literally look like down, reset, and then go again. The key is make sure you get up to that beyond 90 every time. So, very simple exercise, makes a big difference. I'm not saying throw the hip flexor stretching out. The hip flexor stretching is helpful. It's good to mobilize into hip extension. It does allow us to get more out of those glutes. But if you want long-term results and you actually want to improve hip mobility and hip function in general and become a runner who drives from the hips more so and actually starts to use the bigger, powerful muscle groups, which is what they're there for, glutes, hamstrings, it'll take a bit of pressure off those calves in particular. So if you struggle with recurring calf problems, Achilles problems, even plantar fasciitis. A lot of the time, those are in part because, I'm not saying in total, but in part because you're deconditioned around the hips, there's imbalance and dysfunction around here, which means that as you're running, you push disproportionately hard through the ankles instead of using these big, powerful, I mean, look at the size in relative terms, big, powerful muscles. Now, try that. Let me know how you get on. There is a series of videos on this channel to do with glute retraining, and there's one video I'd like to point you towards, which is glute retraining, basically taking it from basic exercises through to more advanced exercises that I'll leave a link to here on the screen at the end. Now, if you want to get more consistent with your running strength and conditioning, go and check out the Bulletproof Runners program, which is linked down in the description. There's a 7-day free trial and a 30-day money-back guarantee. I want to remove all barriers, all risk for you to just try it. Just try that foundation program and start to feel the benefits right from the first couple of weeks. Let me know how you get on, and I'll see you over there.